Hi and welcome to another episode of Top Faults, and today we're going to be looking at the Lister Jaguar. And what the main purpose of this video is to be able to tell the difference between the two different Lister Jaguars that Scalextric made during the 60s. One being released in 1960, and that's the MM C56 Lister Jaguar, and another one released in 1962, which is the MM E1 Lister Jaguar, which came with lights. First impressions, it's very difficult to tell the difference between the two from a quick glance. So the purpose of today's video is to be able to look at these two cars and tell which is the E1 and which is the C56 without taking the body shells off. Because when you're going to these Scalextric shows or buying on the internet, say from eBay, the person selling the car might not necessarily know the difference between the two. So it's good for you to be able to look at a photo and know exactly which one's which. So initially, looking at the car itself, on the underside, it doesn't actually say the car code. So you can't look at the underside like you can with so many other Scalextric cars and see where it would say MMC56. It's just not written anywhere. So initially, when you're looking at the cars, they run pretty much the same mold. So the same body shell, the same chassis, with a few alterations here and there. For example, the C56 is this one right here. So from the top, looking at it instantly, you can see the difference between the drivers. So the C56, the driver has a larger head for one, and also there's no arms, so the body of the driver isn't there. But when you look at the E1, the head of the driver is much smaller, and you can see there's driver's arms, so there's more detail within the car. But the actual shape of the seats and everything else is the same. So this was just literally almost like they've added an extra bit of the driver on top of the original body shell. Okay, so the next thing you can see is if you turn the cars over, and as I mentioned, on both cars they don't have reference codes. So the quick and easy way to tell is not from the guides. So even though these have different braids and different guides, I have seen the E1 with the same looped braids. So that's not always an easy way to tell. The easiest way to tell is the rubbers. So what you have on the E1, the one with the lights, is you have these rubbers which hold the lights in place. So behind these rubbers are one bulb at the back, two bulbs at the front, and straight away I can see that this is an E1 because of the rubbers. Not necessarily meaning the bulbs are in there, because I have purchased cars on the assumption that they are the E1 Lister Jaguar or the E2 Aston Martin with lights, and when I've opened them up, the bulbs are missing, which is very normal because the bulbs either blow or they come loose because they're literally just pushed into the rubber. So when purchasing these cars, the easiest way to tell which is the rubbers underneath. That's the win for me really when I'm looking at these cars. So the C56, as you can see, the body shell has literally no markings there at all. So at some point they introduced, say at some point at 1962, they introduced the lights and then inserted the rubbers through which hold the lights in place. The other telltales are from the rear of the cars. As you can see, the E1 has the lights drilled through and the C56 does not. And on the front, looking downwards, if I can try and, I don't know if I can actually show it, you can almost see, so inside the bulb, the front headlights here, they've actually drilled them out, so you can see like that looks hollow. which allows the light to come through. And when you look at the C56, as you can see, the plastic is still visible under the light. So that's another way of telling. But all in all, they're the same scale, same size, same width, just with some subtle differences with the drivers, the rear lights, and the big telltale is the rubbers from underneath. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video and found some of this content of some use, and hopefully found the tips of use. But if you have any other advice on these two cars or tips that you would like to share, please leave them down in the comments section, and I'll try my best to get back to you or even pass the information on. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you at the next one.